What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. After Sound here, bringing you some GLS content today, and usually Splinterlands content every single day. And for the moment, they are still very much connected at the hip. So this is GLS / Splinterlands content, and specifically today we are going to go over the GLS white paper. So I'm very excited about that. This is quite hefty. And there's a bit to cover, and as the video title probably says, I do want this to be a deep dive. So I want to go in depth in certain areas, but I don't want this video to be like 30 minutes long. So the TBD stuff we will come back to, but I do plan on going through this section by section for the most part, and then kind of just doing maybe some takeaways at the end if there are any that we don't necessarily cover. So first of all, if you are unfamiliar with what GLS is, it is Genesis League Sports. Now, there's also Genesis League Soccer, which is kind of a subset of Genesis League Sports. And what's really exciting is that the soccer portion, which is the partnership that they have with the MLSPA, is going to be the first kind of game launched on GLS, Genesis League Sports. There could be, and hopefully will be, many of other games and sports games within the ecosystem, which is really exciting. But for the first one that we have, and I believe the pack sale was announced earlier, not in here, but on their Twitter or in their Discord for later in October, I believe October 18th. So exciting times ahead for the first part or the first release of GLS and the release of GLS itself. So let's actually dive in. The first thing is the tokenomics, which I think is going to be the most interesting part for me, at least as of right now. And as you can see here, there are 3 tokens that will be launching with this brand new project. My goodness, you know me, I'm a Bitcoin maxi. We don't need all these tokens, but we're going to get them, and I'm not going to complain because they are kind of mirroring, actually they're exactly mirroring what we currently have with Splinterlands. So if you are familiar with the Splinterlands ecosystem and the 3 tokens that we have, this is essentially a one-to-one pairing in terms of their overall utility and how they operate within the ecosystem. So GLX is the SPS of the system, and what's nice is that GLX is going to cover the entire governance of all of Genesis League Sports. So yes, the soccer game is coming out soon, but that's just going to be one portion. GLX is going to be for everything. So keep that in mind when you decide to invest or not to invest in something like GLS, Genesis League Sports. So you got GLX, then there's the Genesis League stable token, so GLUSD, which is similar to DEC, and then the Genesis League game time, GLGT, which is similar to vouchers. And this is supposed to represent time stakes, so in the same way that people who are staking SPS get vouchers over here, when you stake GLX, you get GLGT for that. Now, the Genesis League stablecoin, so stable token, which is GLUSD, this is going to be a one-to-one essentially with the US dollar. Now, keep in mind, it's going to act in a similar way to DEC, which means that it could get off of its peg from time to time, but it's also not, when it starts off, it's not going to be in the same hole that DEC is, where all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but over the past year, so much DEC got printed, right? The tokenomics for this game are being launched where the tokenomics for Splinterlands currently are, not where Splinterlands was and is still recovering from. You have to keep that in mind. So hopefully we don't ever see GLS or GLUSD all the way, at like half the peg or 66% of the peg, which is where DEC is now. But it can and potentially probably will fluctuate from time to time around that. So what's nice about this, we'll get into the GLUSD in a moment. So Genesis League governance token, which is the GLX. So this is going to have the same type of deal here. So earning, staking rewards, you're going to participate in the platform governance, which we've just seen go live within Splinterlands. And then the new feature that they have for SPS and DEC burning, or SPS burning specifically, they're going to do the same thing here. So you can burn $1 worth of GLX to get $1 worth, or just slightly under $1 worth of GLUSD. Now, the distribution, I was wrong in my predictions video. I'm glad that I put that out like right before the white paper was released. So it's not going to be 3 billion, the same as what we have for SPS. It is only going to be 2 billion. And the airdrop is not going to be 300 million, as I guess. It's only going to be 100 million. But that airdrop is going to last for 12 months. It is technically 5% of the total supply of tokens. So if you think about it, there's a new game coming out. You're getting 5% if you are an SPS staker, meaning that if you're currently playing the game, then you are an SPS staker almost by default, right? Especially once this game gets started and you have to unstake your tokens. For those 4 weeks, you will be earning in GLX whether you like it or not. So they're giving you free tokens just for being a participating member of the game, a playing member of the game, not to mention if you have already invested and have been staking SPS for a while. Now, the staking rewards are going to be 100 million as well. And interestingly enough, this only goes for 12 months. So as opposed to the SPS white paper, and we're going to do a lot of comparisons today, this is not going to go for 65 months. This staking rewards are only going to go for 12 months. Although, as we will get into it in a moment, you will get, as part of your staking rewards, the GLGT token. So there will be value still after the 12 months. And I don't know if the DAO will potentially vote to offer more staking rewards or if they will just be vouchers. But that was a bit of a surprise for me. And I wonder if they look at the staking rewards now and think that maybe, because keep in mind, whether they admit it or not, the team is looking at GLS, and this is kind of like a Splinterlands 2.0. This is if they had launched Splinterlands today, this might be what it looked like. So I'm sorry, if they had launched SPS today, this might be what it would look like, right? So I'm trying to see some of the major changes that they have and wonder what is the wisdom behind that. What were the drivers for the decision making when it came to that? So the staking rewards is an interesting one, and it will only go for 12 months. So staking, at least early on, is going to be very valuable because there will be plenty of staking rewards, 100 million tokens given out. Now, there will also be LP rewards, and it sounds as though this might be happening sooner rather than later. This is going to go for your standard 65 months. Your validator rewards, because there's going to be node licenses for this as well, are going to go for 65 months. And there is going to be some set aside for the DAO. So over 65 months, you're going to get the total 100 million, but half of this is going to get paid out on day one. So the DAO is going to have a good amount sitting there at the get-go to hopefully fund and invest in whatever kind of partnerships that they can in the future. Now, the MLSPA play to earn pool, right, similar to the SPS reward pool, is going to be 100 million, and that will last for 65 months. So you add all these up, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which means that's 30% accounted for. So the future partnerships is actually taking up 70% of the total token distribution, which means that this is going to be decided by the DAO. Now, I have a feeling many of these other partnerships are going to either be announced or potentially launched before the DAO gets ready. Now, this is just a prediction. I'm not saying that the team is going to do this. They are saying in the white paper that this will be decided by the team/DAO. So I'm assuming that because they have announced that they're working on these other partnerships, or that they may announce future partnerships, in the very near future, that this could be, we may not get a say in it right away. But the cool thing is that there is a lot allocated for this. And if you think about it, let's say these partnerships take a little time, especially over this first year, really the only tokens that'll be hitting the ecosystem are going to be your staking rewards, 100 million, your airdrop, another 100 million, and then you're going to have like 1/5 of all of these over the first year, your LP, validator. Well, I guess the DAO is going to be locked up, so that'll be nice. But otherwise, there's not going to be a ton of tokens out after the first year, which is kind of interesting. Whereas with SPS, we had like 800 million. With this, you're going to have 200 million from these, and then 20 million from LPs, 20 million from validators, if validators were to go live right in October, which I don't think that they will, and 20 million from MLS play to earn, right? So none of that's going to be happening. I mean, we're going to, like, a year from now, or let's say October, when I think this is scheduled to go live, or the token or the airdrop scheduled to go live. I mean, we're still going to be around like 200 million tokens, which isn't a lot. Now, granted, a lot can happen in a year, but I'm just saying that if the other partnerships do end up getting launched before the end of that year, if they follow the MLSPA, it's going to be 100 million, right? Because they talked about it, or less, technically, 100 million or less, which means, I don't know that they could get everything out, but I would imagine that after the first year, there's actually going to be there will be quite fewer tokens, I should say, which makes each token that much more valuable. Now, I'm not talking about that from a price perspective. I'm talking about that from a value perspective, in the sense of what it brings you in the game, whether it's your say, whether it's your staking rewards, or whether it's whatever the case is, right? Whatever you want to use it for. So that could be really interesting, and I think this is going to have a very different kind of not release schedule, but release whatever happens to it, right? Like the release of this is going to be very different than with SPS because you're not going to have that DEC spike that just causes everything to go crazy for a year, and then the team ends up having to recover from it. So you can see here they have the. I feel like they had another thing in here that they took out earlier, but you can see the future partnerships is what takes up a majority of it at 70%. So let's see if there's anything that I missed here. So staking rewards, what's going to be nice is they're going to have approximately 274,000 GLX tokens awarded per day, and we'll be able to start doing some math on that very soon. The airdrop is going to be something similar as well. So this will be given out 274,000 as well. So the 100 million divided by the 365 days, whenever that actually ends up starting. And they're going to have some LP rewards. So this is actually going to be kind of nice too. Now, we don't know. It's going to be hard to determine exactly what the value of the token is to then determine the APRs, but they are not going to have the DEC similar ones, the stablecoin pairs, at least not initially. It looks like it's just going to be GLX with your Hive, BNB, and then Ethereum. So overall, it's going to be very similar from an SPS kind of standpoint, but I do wonder if they'll ever get GLUSD in the mix, because those are some of my favorite LPs, but I digress. So and it looks as though only 60 million. Oh, actually, so here's another thing. Only 60 million of the total 100 million validator node rewards are going to go live, at least initially, whenever this happens, because they're going to save 40 million for potential future trading pairs. So again, we may see that GLUSD at some point, but for now, it's just going to be 60 million. So again, we are seeing less and less tokens, or at least fewer tokens. I think that's the right term. So the DAO is going to have approximately 781,250 monthly, and they're going to have 50 million on the first day. Your validator rewards are going to be something similar to what we have now, just obviously with the numbers that they have. Your MLSPA rewards are going to be 100 million. That'll be unlocked over 65 months. And then, as they say here, it really just depends on the future partnerships, right? So it's going to be variable, but if they for example do 14 partnerships, what they say is they'll probably split it up with 100 million GLX in the PTE rewards. But if they want to do more partnerships, then maybe it becomes 50 million. So it just depends. And as we may get into in a future part of this white paper, they're talking about all different kinds of games, which is actually really exciting. So let's go ahead to the GLUSD. So this is the same deal. I think the most important thing we already talked about, which is the fact that you can burn GLX for this token. Now, let's see. Product pricing is, so all products will be sold in the GLS Sports ecosystem, or Genesis League Sports ecosystem, with the GLUSD. God, this is going to be really difficult to say. I like DEC is just 3 letters. Why do they have to go up to 5 letters? It's crazy. So they will always honor it, because keep in mind what Matt is trying to promote here and to push as something that's really innovative, and I do think it is innovative in a way, is the fact that these are product-backed coins, right? Product-backed stable coins. And then you got your GLGT tokens, which operate exactly like vouchers. And for people who may not be familiar with Splinterlands, because we may get some people who read about this in a Yahoo Finance article or whatever the case is. If you're here, welcome. I think you are coming in at a very exciting time, and I highly recommend checking out Splinterlands, which is kind of the cousin to this game, or at least maybe the weird uncle to this game, because it came before, and it's kind of financing what this game will be. I think you're coming in at a great time. Welcome to the channel, by the way. So we got GLGT, and I don't think that there's anything crazy here. They also go into, in this section, we're going to skip through most of this, why they are a big fan of the Hive blockchain. I have become a much bigger fan of the Hive blockchain over time, and I really appreciate the fact that resource credits are cheap and free, or at least I shouldn't say cheap and free. They are free to a certain extent. I like the way that Hive operates when it comes to its transactions. So we'll skip over that. We'll go straight to governance. And so GLX is the token for that. So the DAO is going to have several sources of income, it seems. And we're going to get into one of them, which I really, really like very soon. So while some of the initial plans for the DAO are laid out in the white paper, long-term, the GLX stakeholders will be able to create proposals and vote on other ways to generate income. For example, GLX stakeholders could create a proposal to sell some amount of GLX reserve tokens if it is passed through a DAO vote. So yeah, it's going to operate pretty much the same way as the SPS one. And then delegated proof of stake and validator nodes. So they're going to have licenses for this as well. We don't have much information, but one of the things that they literally highlighted at the end here is probably a reason that I've been working on stacking more validator node licenses. And I'm not the only one, because you can see them flying off shelves as I referenced in my last video. As they say here, as a token of appreciation for our early supporters, we will be planning a free airdrop of a portion of the total GLS validator node licenses for SPS validator node license holders. The details will be shared later. In the town hall, which happened earlier, they did not go into any further details. So we don't know if it's going to be 1-to-1. We don't know if it's going to be 5-to-1. But, at this point in time, without this is just like a cherry on top. I'm still trying to get as many SPS node licenses as I can, or at least I'm going for a specific goal in my mind in the short to medium term. So let's go to game platform now. So the Genesis League Sports will consist of different individual games from a variety of different sports. This is the part that I was talking about earlier. So additionally, the game may have multiple different games for the same sport. So you may have a manager. So in this mode, users will leverage player NFTs, so soccer players, for example, to create teams and battle against others in simulated games, so auto battlers, rapid turn. There might also be fantasy, so inspired by fantasy sports. There may be fantasy themed, where you can create a fantasy team and receive rewards based on the real life performance of drafted players. Now you think about how big fantasy football and fantasy sports are. I am a huge fantasy football fan, player, enthusiast. It dominates my life right now as the NFL just started. And so if that can be done in a Web3 way, oh man, I'm so looking forward to 2023 if they can make this happen, or the 2023 season, I should say. And then they also give prediction bracket here. So in this mode, users will be able to stake their NFTs to fill prediction brackets and win rewards. So again, these are just some of the ideas that they have, but keep in mind, there could be anywhere from 14 to 28 other partnerships. So when you think about the games that could come out on this, right? We're playing Splinterlands right now, and we're about to launch the second game on the Splinterlands platform, which is the Tower Defense. And when I say launch, it's not going to launch soon, hopefully within the next 6 months or so, but that's going to be just the second game. Here, they're already talking about how they're planning for anywhere from 14 to 28 games based on what they have with the tokens that they've set aside. And if things go better in the future, the DAO could vote to allocate even more, because the DAO has another 50 million. So again, this is exciting stuff. I'm so bullish on the GLS platform, because I think this could be, I love Splinterlands, but I think this could dwarf it in so many ways. And I've said that many times, and the white paper is just making me have even more conviction within that belief. All right, so let's go into the NFTs. So let's see here. In this step, Genesis will announce the partnership. I don't think that there's anything crazy here. So they're going to have the pack sale probably sometime in October. The mint day will probably be coming in at some point later. There is a roadmap and timeline, so we can go through that. The game release. So prior to game release, an initial game overview will be shared with the community, and then earning NFT rewards. So similar to how we earn rewards NFTs within Splinterlands, right? Cards that we can play with, they're probably going to do something like that. But again, one thing that Hatham said in the town hall was that they have to, since this is real, like, intellectual property that is shared with real people, they have to be very sensitive about that and make sure that they are going about it in an appropriate way. And I totally get that, right? Like, in Splinterlands, they can make up a card based on whatever and be like, oh, okay, yeah, here's a Cursed Windake, or that's not a good example. Here's a Jin O'Shaughnessy, right? It's not based on anybody. It's not taking any stats from anyone. It's not based on how somebody did during a season, or, go through all the contracts that they have within their team and media and all that. So I can understand them trying to take this a little more carefully, but otherwise, I mean, it's going to be really exciting. So here's the cool part. So they're going to have a marketplace just like Splinterlands does. And I think, honestly, the market initially is what sold me on Splinterlands. Just the fact that anybody can come in with a couple of bucks and rent some cards and try to play the game. One thing that I think is great here, and I actually suggested this for the Splinterlands ecosystem very, very early on, is the fees in this game. So the fees for the market is going to be 5%, but the first 2% of that is going to be, well, actually it doesn't say 5%. okay, so whatever the fees are, the first fee is going to be a fixed 2% of the total transaction amount going to the GLS DAO. Now, when we were in the bear market of the summer, and I would say we're still in the bear market now, but when SPS was just getting brutally pounded through the floor, one of the things that I remember suggesting was if they just took 1%, if they just took 0.5% of that 5% fee from the market, and bought SPS with it that goes into the DAO, every single day there would be buy pressure for SPS. That's what I wanted. So we don't necessarily have this because there's not enough clarity here to say that they're going to take the GLUSD, because keep in mind, all marketplace transactions are going to be done in GLUSD. So, and I think that they announced that earlier here, which makes sense. The same thing. It's the same thing with Splinterlands, right? Everything is done in DEC on the market. You can also use credits, but everything here looks like will be done in GLUSD, at least initially. And so 2% of that is going to go in. Now, is that going to stay in GLUSD or is that going to be converted into GLX? We don't know. But here's the thing. I would love for them to buy GLX with the 2% fee that they get. That creates buy pressure on GLUSD. But what it also does is it creates sell pressure. It creates buy pressure on GLX, but it also does create sell pressure on GLUSD for a token that I'm sure they want to keep very stable when you're looking at that versus the US dollar, right? Because this is, I mean, even though DEC kind of operates in the same way, people are so used to it being below its peg, right? And seeing that as a discount. Whereas when you have like new people coming in from crypto and they see like, hey, this is a stable coin that's operating at like 70%. I don't know how I feel about that. People might get irked. So I can understand them not wanting to put tremendous sell pressure on GLUSD and really wanting it to be a desired asset, so much so that it goes above its peg value and GLX just keeps getting burned. At least that's the hope that they have for SPS. I would assume it's the same here for GLX. All right, we're not even going to get into this, but they're going to have stadiums and arenas, which is going to be this version of land. There's not many details right now. So like I said, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but it is exciting. And I am excited to hopefully get in on land on a game early on rather than buying my plots for like $150 right now, whatever they're going for in the Splinterlands secondary market. Okay, so PTE rewards, there's going to be in-game rewards, staking rewards. So what's interesting here is after the initial staking reward pool for GLX tokens runs out, the rewards for players who stake GLX tokens will also start to come from the play to earn reward pools for each individual game. So players will have the ability to apply their GLX tokens to one or more of the games within the ecosystem to begin earning rewards from that game's pool. So this is fascinating, okay? Because this is going to be something different here. And, we don't have the benefit of this within Splinterlands outside of the fact that SPS staking is going to be implemented in order to get rewards from other games, right? You're going to have to stake on players within the game, or you're going to have to stake in order to earn rewards within something like tower defense. But they seem relatively confident that within the next 12 months of launch, they're going to have other games on the platform so that once GLX runs out, or the GLX staking reward pool runs out, you'll be able to take your staked GLX tokens and earn from other areas or other games within. So each game will have a different mechanics for distributing the rewards for players who apply staked GLX to the game, giving GLX stakeholders many different options for applying their tokens and maximizing their potential across games. So I think this is going to try to encourage people to play all of the different games that they launch on the platform. Again, it's up to you. If something catches your fancy, then go for it. If not, then, you don't have to. But there now could be financial incentive for you to do so. So just something to keep in mind because, again, I don't know how this is going to work, but I like the innovation behind it. It's something different from Splinterlands. And you know me, I like different. I like new. So we'll see how it goes. Here is the roadmap. And this is great because it's broken down into two separate functions, right? You're going to have your GLS, which is the Genesis League Sports here, so what we see on the right, and then GLS MLSPA, which is or Genesis League Soccer, which is the MLSPA portion. So that's going to be really confusing until they can get other sports in here. And I'm sure they didn't want to take GLF because football is going to be confusing for both Americans and for everybody else around the world. But that's a battle that's been fought for a while, so I don't know who ends up winning that. But let's do a quick rundown. So the Genesis League Sports side, obviously that's the one that's kind of high level. I'm excited about that. We got the website and white paper today, so that is done. September's complete. October, you're going to have your GLX and GLUSD launch. You're going to have GLUSD minting available, and then GLX airdrop for SPS holders is going to begin. The GLX staking and GLX liquidity rewards are potentially going to begin in November. So that's going to be exciting. We're going to have a couple of months here where you'll be able to earn just by staking SPS and then continue compounding those earnings. It looks like the DAO and GLX governance is actually going to go live, or at least will, a phase of it will go live in December. And the next year you're going to have the nodes in Q1 and the testnet in Q1 and then the mainnet in Q2. Now, I need to double back on something real quick, because what we did not see or hear about with GLUSD is if any is going to be printed at all, which means if nothing's going to be printed from the beginning, people are going to be getting GLX tokens and they'll have to immediately burn them for GLUSD. I just thought about that right now. And that's going to do some interesting things for when the game first launches. Holy crap. Okay, I might have to do another separate video on this, because okay, so let's actually go to the other side of this for a second. Now, you're going to have your white label pack sale website set up. Your pack sale is going to, pack sale and MLSPA white paper are going to come next month. GLX and GLUSD integration with the website. So here's the thing. If you're going to only be able to buy packs, we need to get some clarity on this. And hopefully there's going to be a town hall for GLS soon, I believe in the next week or so. But if the packs are only available to be bought in GLUSD, then we're going to have to take the GLX that we have, right? And the GLX that we're getting airdropped, and then immediately burn it for GLUSD. So if you can imagine what that will look like from a demand standpoint, because there's not going to be very much GLX at that time. And if you're burning it and you don't want to burn your stack because you want to start staking your stack in November, you're going to have to go buy it off the market. And if these whales come in early on, and again, I'm being a little bullish here, but if the whales come in early on and there's not much liquidity, that could be really interesting. Well, we're gonna get back to that once we get some clarity on it. But again, I didn't hear anything about GLUSD minting. So if that's the only way, October could get very interesting right off the bat. And then in November, you're going to have your MLSPA NFT production, game design brief. So we'll start to get some information there. Your mint integration and marketplace integration. So no game yet, but the mint and marketing so potentially like being able to open your packs at that time and then having the marketplace available so you can start buying and selling. Mint integration and marketplace integration. Okay, so never mind. It looks like this is more so like an internal thing for them. Our mint day for the MLSPA is going to be sometime in Q1, and then the game release is going to be sometime in Q2, along with potentially leagues and tournaments. So exciting times ahead, but again, this is like 6 months out. This is maybe even 9 months out at this point to the end of Q2, and we all know how delays happen. So a lot of exciting things happening from an investment side, maybe with all the GLX and GLUSD, but the game side, that could take a little bit. Either way, it's going to be really exciting because we'll be able to get packs and we'll be able to see and we'll be able to follow along. And I don't know. Like I said, I'm just really bullish on the project. I'm also reminding myself first and foremost, but also for everybody here, you got to be patient because this is literally just starting out. And that is really it. They have this last portion here, which is like important terms, but I think most of us are familiar with them. Now, if you are not, if you are brand new to this and you found the GLS through something and you want to get into it, then I would highly recommend reading the white paper and specifically this portion here, because this is going to go over, airdrop, BNB, burn, like all this stuff. I just don't want to take up everyone's time with this. If you guys want more content, more like basic content on this, definitely let me know. But I know that a majority of the audience is probably going to be Splinterlands vets at this point, and so I don't want to take time up for that. But that is all I have in this video. Again, it ended up being almost 30 minutes. Oh, I'm so disappointed in myself. But you know what? I felt like we went at a pretty good pace. We cut out the things that I don't think were worth talking about. And I felt like everything that we did talk about was definitely worth considering. So hopefully this brought some value to you. And yeah, that's all I got. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below if you're excited for this, if you're going to wait on it. And yeah, I'll catch you all in the next video and I will see you around the game. Take care.